This evening with us, we have four panelists. We'll start with Alex Hayward, who's joining us online this evening from New Brunswick. Alex is a Canadian paracyclist from Quispamsis, and after his spinal injury in 2012, he transitioned from ice hockey to wheelchair basketball, representing Team New Brunswick at the Canada Games in both 2015 and 2019. So a double games athlete with us this evening. He took up cycling during the COVID-19 pandemic and quickly rose to prominence, winning medals at the 2023 Pan American Games and earning a bronze in the 3,000-meter pursuit at the 2024 Summer Paralympics. So Alex joins us from New Brunswick this evening. Thanks for being here, Alex. We also have with us Saorla Miller. Saorla grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. She's an alumni of Team Nova Scotia at the 2017 Canada Games, where her team won a bronze medal. From 2019 to 2023, she played Division I NCAA soccer at the University of Memphis, finishing a degree in biomedical engineering and math. Her team won 4 conference championships. Last year in 2024, she signed her first pro contract to play in Iceland, where she played in the top division for 1 season. This year, Saorla plays for the Halifax Tides as part of the inaugural season of the Northern Super League. Next to her, we have her teammate, Syd Kennedy. They competed together at the 2017 Canada Games in Winnipeg. Syd scored the game winner in the bronze medal match, helping Nova Scotia earn its first medal in women's soccer since 1993. She went on to play NCAA Division I soccer at the University of Florida for 4 years, then returned home to play her final year at Acadia alongside her sister and best friends. Syd now plays professionally for the Halifax Tides in the inaugural season of the Northern Super League, the first ever women's professional soccer league in Canada. And next to them, we have Sloan MacKenzie. Sloan is a Canadian sprint canoeist from Nova Scotia and an Olympic bronze medalist, a rising star in women's canoe sprint. She's earned multiple international podium finishes, including gold at the Pan American Games and World Championships. Balancing elite sport with studies in applied human nutrition, Sloan is known for her determination, discipline, and passion for inspiring the next generation of athletes. So those are our panelists this evening. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Excited to hear your insights and your thoughts. All right, so let's dive in with our first question. This was a curious question from many folks. What is it like staying in the athlete's village, and how did it affect things like sleep, meals, downtime? And I guess as a secondary part to that, what would you recommend in preparing for in advance of being there? So maybe Alex, we'll start with you on this one.
I think for me, the biggest thing was after having experienced it at Canada Games, I definitely I was paying a lot of attention to kind of what my routines were as far as eating went at home. Because as soon as you're given a schedule where you can only eat at certain times, or you've got a 10-minute walk to the dining hall, and it's kind of a little bit harder to fit into your schedule. For me anyway, I was either finding myself eating not enough or missing the time. So the biggest adjustment for me, I guess, was just kind of getting an idea of how much I needed to eat, and then making sure I could fit it in my schedule, whatever that looked like while I was in the village.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. So some time management and play, which I'm sure is a theme through the career of an elite athlete, and making sure you're optimizing that good nutrition. Sloan, what about for you? What was your experience in the village like?
Okay, I have a few points here. For what to bring for preparing, this is the nutrition plan coming out. Bring your own snacks, for sure. Like half of my suitcase going, which is my favorite foods that I knew I liked, and that would sit well in my stomach because you don't know exactly where you're gonna get when you're there or how much. So I definitely recommend packing the snacks that are your go-to at home before competition. Tip number 1. For the dining hall, they sometimes can run out of food. That's happened in the past. So if you can't, try not to be the last athletes there. Try to get there a bit earlier if you can. I know your schedules are all over the place, but just keep that in mind. Another thing with your food, try to keep it as normal as possible. So the options you have, there's going to be plenty of options. Try to choose stuff that you would normally eat at home. You don't want to try to put everything out right before you compete at Canada Games. And also, you've probably heard of it, don't expect like a 5-star meal. It's good, but it's not going to be like a fancy restaurant. For what else to bring, not nutrition related, I would say definitely bring some earplugs and a sleeping mask, because you're gonna be sharing a room with probably 3, 4, 5 people. You don't know how late they stay up, but yeah, bring earplugs, bring sleeping mask. And then also it's gonna be really exciting and probably a little overwhelming. There are gonna be pin trading, socializing, concerts, games. But again, bring it back to your routine, what you would normally do before a competition. What's all I got?
Good advice. Yeah, bringing the comforts from home. Thank you. Sid, what about for you? What made the difference and what was your experience like?
Yeah, I think I'll stray away from the detail a little bit, mostly because it's been 8 or so years since I was there. But I think one thing that stood out to me is that you're all going to be in kind of a privileged position where you're around people that are very similar to you in your kind of elite habits and things like that. So I think it's important to go out and meet people. A lot of athletes around, like I said, that are similar to you and have the same drive as you and the same goals. So meet as many people as you can, talk to other Team Nova Scotia athletes, but talk to other athletes from other provinces as well. See if they have any tips and things like that, share experiences. I think that's super important is to kind of engage in that way as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Building community. Great point. Thank you, Sid. Saorla, what about for you? What was key and what was your experience like?
Not gonna lie, Sid said exactly what I was gonna say. But I guess we had similar experiences. But I would say like there's definitely a lot of distractions more than when you stay at a hotel with your team. So there's a lot going on, events and all that. So just leaning on your teammates and your coaches to kind of keep you focused and remember why you're there to compete. But then also knowing, like she said, I think it's so important to when you're at meals or when you're walking around, talk to other people and get to know them because it is such a unique experience. And being able to connect with people, hear their story, make friends. I think that was a highlight for me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That community piece is big. Hey, it travels with you a lot in sport. Yeah, for sure. Connections are important. Thank you guys for that. And if you guys have any more curious questions about the village, we'll have time for those, but that's a good start anyways. Um, Alex, one for you. Curious if you could share with us what was one of your biggest challenges or something that you didn't feel like you were really fully prepared for at the games? And then who did you lean on for support to get through that challenge?
I think for me, it was just kind of this feeling of having to be kind of on all the time. I think it's a little bit different than a tournament in the sense that you feel like you're in this big high performance environment and it's all a little bit overwhelming and it takes a lot of your energy really to kind of I don't know, you feel like you need to be your best all the time because you've been working so hard towards this goal for so many years and um yeah, for me that took a lot of my energy and kind of took me off my game a little bit. But I was lucky enough to have a couple of teammates that have been to the games before and I could kind of talk through it with and kind of calm my nerves a bit. So and then the other thing, and I don't know if there's any para athletes in the room, but uh, another challenge that I hadn't really envisioned was, I had my injury in 2012. So my first games, I'd been injured for 3 years. And um, one thing I hadn't considered was the amount of walking I was going to have to do. You're walking to the buses, you're kind of caged off, I guess, in a way. So you're having to do a certain amount of steps a day, which might be a little bit out of the norm for some para athletes, and it actually started to affect my performance a little bit, made me a little more tired than I thought. So yeah, I started bringing scooters to big games after that, just to kind of scooter around. Looks funny, but it works. So um, yeah, those would be the two big things, I think.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Yeah. So just being prepared to manage like kind of that sheer overwhelm you might feel at the scale of a games and how it's different from like a singular sport tournament where you're in a multi-sport environment and leveraging and leaning in on the experience of teammates, but also finding creative ways to kind of control or manage that accessibility factor for some para athletes as well. Great thoughts. Yeah, thank you. Um, how how can you enjoy your games experience? So Alex has just kind of pointed out the overwhelm of a multi-sport games, right? How big it is, everything that's going on. How can you enjoy your experience and have fun, but still manage all of the distractions to focus on performance? What does that look like? And Saorla, maybe we'll start with you for your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said before, I think it's so important to enjoy what's there because there is a lot that the village puts on for you, and not only that, but going to see sports that you maybe have never watched before, and trading things with other people, going to some of the concerts or opening ceremonies if you're there for that, or closing ceremonies. We got to go to that, and that was like I'll never forget. The opening ceremonies was a really really cool experience. So there is a lot that I would encourage you to do, but I would say, look, of course you're there first and foremost to compete, and you've been working for years to compete there, so you don't want to you still want to preserve your energy and find downtime. So if I were you, I'd probably make a little schedule of like when can I afford time to go do something fun, go see a sporting event, and maybe your team, if you're in the more team sport, will help you with that. But let's say you competed in the morning one day, and then you do your recovery and all that, and in the afternoon you have some time to go see another event or go socialize, and or maybe you have an off day. So you know times where you can do that and can afford to do more fun things, and then times where you say, hey, this is time to focus. We have an event coming up, a game coming up, and then but I know I can have fun other times of other days. So yeah, just having a plan going.
Yeah. Planning and using your time wisely and finding those pockets of downtime to kind of refresh yourself. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Sloan, what about for you? What are your thoughts on this? You've got some good experience at a couple games now. So what works for you?
Well, you know, said everything on the but yeah, I'm to reiterate that, like, you're there to compete, it's a huge deal for getting games, and it's gonna be so fun. But say you do have a game the next morning, you might not wanna go sit out in the sun for 2 hours and get dehydrated and not be eating. And there will be athletes there that are doing that, but that's to your advantage. They're going out wasting their energy. So you need to focus on yourself and your team and making sure that you're taking the best care of yourself that you can. Your hydration, your eating, your rest, your food, because you're there to perform your best. But of course, once you're done your games or your competition, go have fun and do pin trading. It's so fun. And then at the end, you have all your pins on your lanyard. It's like a little souvenir that you get to take home. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Maybe one I didn't prompt you guys for, but that I think you can probably speak to from both of you. Saorla, your team sport. Sloan, you're in a sport where, you know, you're racing in the morning, you might have a mid-afternoon break, and then you've got a late afternoon race. So you're kind of at the competition venue for a long stretch of time. You're there for your games, and then you've kind of got your downtime. So what does that look like from the perspective of an athlete who like could potentially be on the competition site for the full day? And then what does it look like for an athlete who's like kind of game based? Whoever wants to jump in and start on that, if you have thoughts.
I mean, I think when you're going to your venue just for the game, it's even that much more important to focus on some time beforehand. When you're in the village, to have downtime and like drinking water, eating all those things, and not getting sucked into everything that's going on around you. And then, you know, you get on the bus and you go to the game and you've already prepared for the game beforehand, mentally prepared and all that. So yeah, just I'm having a good time to prepare.
Yeah, I think if you're there all day for your competition, it's most important to be organized in your planning and your packing. You're gonna want to pack extra food, extra water, extra clothes, like maybe a book to distract yourself. Just being really organized so you don't get there, you're halfway through the day and wow, I don't actually have enough food. Because you don't know what the food situation or water situation is gonna look like where you're actually competing. For us, we were at like a little satellite site, so we weren't that close to the village. And let me tell you, the food was tough. And there was not enough of it. So we had to pack food in the morning and bring it with us, and that's what we had for the day.
Awesome. Yeah, good insight. So making sure you've got the full day trip packed out when you're at the venue full day versus like kind of having that really targeted time when you're in a team.
For us, like we wanted to do ice baths with like our muscle. It was really hot that, and so we had to like bring in little kiddie pools into the venue. So just being adaptable and like thinking of things that maybe you normally do for your department that you won't have.
Yeah, yeah. Great thoughts. Thank you. So kind of building off of that, we've talked about fun, we've talked about distractions. Coming through in some of the responses have also been has also been this idea of, this is what you're preparing for, right? This is a big deal for a lot of athletes. What do you do to manage the stress or calm your nerves before and during the games, especially in a new environment, right? We're all going to an environment we're not necessarily familiar with. What would you recommend as different strategies athletes could use? So, Syd, maybe we'll start with you on this one if we could.
I would say the biggest thing that I would stress is to find what works for you. There's a lot of different athletes that we can see doing different things. Even just on our team. For me personally, like I like to be locked in, but also kind of have a sense of looseness. So like I'll be kind of dancing in the locker room and singing and feeding off teammates' energy, where someone else could be reading their Kindle in the corner because they want it to be more relaxed during the game. So okay, find what works for you, and kind of stick to that. And I think with the whole environment being so overwhelming, you can kind of stray away from maybe some things that you didn't prepare yourself at home games. So I would say if you have a routine, there's no need to reinvent the wheel just because you're in a different venue, surrounded by kind of more overwhelming things. So I would say those are two big things. And then finally, I think to communicate it, especially if you're in a team sport, communicate with your coaches, communicate with your teammates what it is that you need. At the end of the day, you're trying to perform. You want to bring back medals, you want to place. So the biggest thing is to make sure that you're mentally prepared to do that. And if that means, letting your coaches know, hey, I need 5 minutes before the game to listen to music, or I need kind of this from a teammate, communicate that, lean into your teammates or lean into people around you, and make sure that you're open about your needs, because at the end of the day, it is about performance. So you got to make sure that you know what you have to do.
Awesome. Yeah.
To build off what Sid said, like I would not change your prep that you're doing now. Like you want to keep your routine same. Again, finding something that works for you. I'm sure all of you guys by now like have a routine, have stuff that you do to prepare for competition. So yeah, stick to your routine, do what works for you. And then again, being able to communicate that with your teammates, your coaches, because for me, I want to be talking, I want to be like not thinking about my race until I'm on the water. But other teammates, they're sitting in the corner, eyes closed, headphones in, no one talking. So everyone has different ways to prepare. I also like to listen to Taylor Swift, get a song stuck in my head, and then hum that until I'm on the line to race. But that's just
Awesome. Some Taylor Swift fans. Sounds good. So like lots of community, keeping routine consistent, not making like a major change right before you go to the games, kind of leaning into the people around you and recognizing both what you and your teammates might need in that moment to prepare for the game itself or to be on that start line. Thank you. You guys, all four of you, have come a long way and accomplished a lot of really cool things, both in and out of sport, since you've been in the Canada Games. When you look back on your experience at the Canada Games, if we're thinking of this as kind of our stepping stone into high performance, how did that influence your pathway to the Olympics, the Paralympics, the Tides, where you are now? And how did it prepare you? So Alex, we haven't heard from you in a little bit. Alex, what are your thoughts on this? How did your games experience prepare you for what was next and influence that pathway?
My experience at my first games is maybe a little bit unique. As I mentioned, I guess as you previously mentioned, I was a hockey player growing up. I had this dream of, going to the QMJHL and maybe someday playing university hockey and I had my injury in 2012 and I kind of wasn't really sure if I was ever gonna, and sports were a huge part of my identity, right? So I had this injury and I wasn't really sure if I was ever gonna get to compete again or be on a team or get to do these things that were more than 50% of my identity. So the wheelchair basketball came along in my life, and Canada Games was kind of this clear goal and this opportunity to compete at a really high, at a high level and maybe do something that I didn't think I would even do as an able-bodied person. And so for me, the biggest thing, it was just this kind of eye-opening experience that, hey, I can still compete at a really high level. And maybe for me, I was kind of more attached to the competing piece and not necessarily the hockey piece. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me anyway. It was just this idea that I was still able to compete and be on a team and and it snowballed into national teams and continuing to be part of teams and then eventually introducing to another sport. But yeah, for me it was like this eye-opening experience that maybe my sports days weren't over.
Awesome. Yeah. So finding that fire again and that way to stay connected to competition and team and everything you loved about sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story with us. Saorla, what about for you?
I went to the Canada Games, in grade 10. So, it was my first real experience of, a high performance environment for a long time. So working towards a goal, for, over a year with the same group of people, building those amazing friendships and relationships along the way. And so then that culminating to the moment of the Canada Games where you're all working towards the goals of winning games and all that together and having that like sweet feeling of accomplishment when you would win a game or win a medal. And so for me, when having that feeling, I knew I wanted to be in a high performance environment longer and strive towards bigger goals because it was so much fun and I enjoyed my experience so much. And I knew that that was just a taste of what it would be if I continued on the path of soccer and made bigger goals for myself. So I think that was big for me. The Canada Games showed me just the start of something if I continue to work towards my goals. And yeah, it definitely ignited a fire in me to be more hungry.
Awesome. Thank you. Syd, for you?
Yeah, I think for me, it was kind of being exposed to other high level athletes. And I think, you're selected to Canada Games teams for a reason. You're obviously some of the best. And then you get put in a tournament where you're competing against other people who are the best of the best. So I think one thing that you have to remember, and one thing that I took with me from Canada Games was confidence is massive. As soon as you start to get down on yourself and doubt yourself and start to question all the preparation that you've done for the years leading up to Canada Games, that's when your performance starts to drop. So I would say, keep reminding yourself while you're there, you weren't selected to this team by accident. You did all the work. That's where your confidence comes from. It's the preparation that you put in. So I would say, don't look around and think, oh, am I good enough to be here? You were selected for a reason. You can compete at this level. And for me, Canada Games helped me learn that, which I'll get into later, kind of an underdog story for our team. But confidence piece is massive, and I carried that with me throughout and all my years.
Awesome. Thank you. Sloan, I saw a couple head nods. Anything to add to that from your, or maybe you're humming along to some Taylor Swift right now, but
One thing, yeah, game is honestly like a mini Olympics. Like we're there to walk strong men staying in Catholic Village. Like it's the same thing. So we're really in a stepping stone to other competitions, to international teams. So yeah, go there, enjoy it, compete your best, and more opportunities will come for sure.
awesome. Thank you. Yeah, hearing a lot of like themes across, for a couple of you, cementing that this is where you want to be. High performance is the environment, and it really kind of fueled that next step for you. And then of course, like the confidence piece, allowing that to grow through the experience and just kind of reveling in the stepping stone of, this is a mini Olympics. It's a really cool opportunity to to get to immerse yourself in this environment and see kind of what it's like on a bit of a smaller scale, for sure. Thank you. Sloan and Alex, this one's for both of you folks. There was some curiosity from the group during, before, or after the Olympics and Paralympics. What do you look back on and wish you had done differently? What were the big learning moments for you, or was there anything you'd change? And Alex, maybe we can start with you.
I mean, it's a tough question. Maybe I had a bit of a unique experience, but I exceeded all my expectations really when it came to competing. I think, double-digit New Brunswickers come out to the games and support me. Anytime something exciting happens, all you want to do is get on the phone and talk to the people you love. And for me, I just got to walk out of the stadium or, get off my bike and they were right there. Um, you know, as far as preparation goes, like that's part of how I calm my nerves is make sure that I'm really confident with my preparation. And I'm really happy with the months, years leading up to it. So if I had to pick one thing, I guess would be to somehow not get mono like a year and a half before the games. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with. I don't really have too many complaints, fortunately.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, staying healthy and staying away from those illnesses that can get you down for a little while longer than we'd like anyways. But yeah, that's cool to hear you had so many folks from back home with you at the games and that things went well for you, and I think probably a lot rest in that preparation for sure. For sure. Sloan, what about for you? Any thoughts on what you might have done differently or
My first point's not that deep, but I wish I took more videos of the Olympics and pictures. I don't know, everyone's posting all the videos of the college and more. Whatever. And second point, kind of the same thing in college, like I really loved not getting a chance like the 2 years leading up to the games. And our sport, we don't know getting at the Olympics until only a few months before. So it's very competitive. No one knows who's gonna go. There was two crews, we were really tight. So I knew that the only chance we had of going is really like dialing in our training and everything else on the outside. So I really like set intentions for every practice. I was eating well, focusing on my nutrition. I started talking to a mental performance consultant because I really didn't want there to be any doubt in my mind when we lined up for A, trials to make the Olympic team, and then B, later on in the summer to actually compete at the Olympics. I didn't want any doubt. I just wanted to go into the race knowing that we did every single thing possible we could have done to have a good race. So yeah, that's it.
yeah. Yeah.
And it worked out pretty well.
Worked out. Yeah. Worked out okay for both of you, I think. Hey. Yeah, and for you folks as well, your success in the NCAA and now playing with the Tides and your professional backgrounds. Anything that you look back on and wish you would have done differently at like your Canada Games experience or other experiences you might have had? Not to put you on the spot because I didn't tell you you had to answer this question, but if you have thoughts you'd like to add, you're welcome to.
Stuff and real quick, just really take it all in, and like through university, especially, people will say, at this time goes by so fast, or like Canada Games, so this will go by so fast. And to piggyback on what Sloan said, like taking videos, like journal, whatever you have to do to remember those times. It really does go by so fast, when you're competing and things like that. So I would say really like be a sponge, take everything possible from this experience because it goes by fast and you'll have memories for life from it. And trade your pins. Trade your pins.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you guys can share a little bit on the pin trading. I'm not sure if any of our athletes in the audience have heard about that, but I know I didn't go to the games as an athlete, but I was there as staff and I had heard about this pin trading and I was like, okay, what goes on here? But and someone said to me, it's like the currency of the games. And then I also saw that carry over into the Olympic environment as well. So I don't know, any insights there on the pin trading, any strategies for when the athletes get there and realize this is going to become a pretty big deal?
Basically. Get pins every time. And there's some like special ones that are worth more, and then the ones, and so you trade them with all the promises and territories, and you want to try to get all of them. But pro tip, bring your own pins too, so you can trade more. Yes.
You're pretty invested in this. I feel like you've had a lot of success there. That's good. No, it's true though. Like I remember I came home from the games with like a purse, like almost a purse full of pins because people will give them to you to say thank you or you trade them or that kind of thing. Any of our other panelists have any thoughts on the pin trading? Were any of you like not into it? Because I know for some athletes too, like some athletes are really into it. Some athletes like, oh, I'll trade if there's an opportunity, and then there's other athletes that just really don't prioritize it. So do we have any differing perspectives?
I didn't. I did it a little bit in my first Canada Games, and then I brought the ones from the first Canada Games to the second Canada Games. They were pretty popular. I had a couple. I guess the theme of bringing some extra ones is a good one. But at the games, at the Paralympics, I just kind of set it aside unless people came to me. So, um, yeah, I think it depends. You'll see if it's for you or not.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You can see who's really into it. The lanyards are usually a pretty good indication on your accreditation. Um, And maybe this wasn't in our question bank, and Maya chime in on this if there's anything from a comms perspective we need to know. But Sloan, you had mentioned like take more videos. You took a lot of pictures, but you wanted to take more videos. So I'm just curious, like from your perspectives, we have technology in our hands. We've got, I don't know if anyone uses Facebook anymore, but we'll include a Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or sorry, X, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, all these platforms that keep us super connected. Like, how do you utilize those tools at the game so they're not becoming a point of distraction? Or like, do you completely black it out? What was your approach to that so that you can feel like you're still immersing in and sharing your experience with the people who want to follow that with you, but that it's not becoming a point of distraction?
I would say for me, like, uh, when if I have a game or like evening or things, something like that, then I kind of just try and stay off of all like social media with like the hours leading up to the game because it can become a distraction of like what if you've made, maybe in that time make some goals for the game or I don't know, watch a show or something if you have downtime. But sometimes just getting caught up in social media or if they're talking about your competition or things like that, it can be a little bit of a distraction and it kind of gets your mind off of what you want to focus on, what you want to do in the game. So that would be my only silly thing, and you'll still take lots of pictures, lots of videos, do all that because it is what you'll look back on in a few years. I also say like I have a period where I would be on my phone before games or anything like that. And I think kind of use this as an opportunity to develop those habits. You're kind of in a big movement right now, and I know like as you develop more exposure and things like that, people will chime in and have their opinions on things, especially like as we compete in the Olympics and like I know in our league, people say things they don't really have too much experience with sport, but they'll put their opinions out there. So I think after games or whatever it may be too, to kind of give yourself some time to come down from the event and reflect on your own experience. Because it can be easy to kind of get swept up in what other people are saying and about your performance, the team performance.
I think that's an interesting one. It kind of comes back to the theme of like the food and the sleep and the socializing, but like just don't stray from your normal. Like if you're someone who posts 7 times a day and that works for you, like I guess feel free to continue doing that if it doesn't affect your performance. But if you're somebody who's, twice a week and you feel like you're going to the games and now you need to post 5 times a day and it's taken away from your experience and your performance, and that's not really the right approach. So I think just don't stray too far from your normal, whatever that looks like.
Something, Alex. Sloan, any last thoughts on this?
No, I agree with what all been said.
Okay, awesome. Good. We've got some consensus in the room. Yeah, so just really finding what works for you and knowing how to limit that distraction and when it's good for you to be on it and when it's good for you to be away from it, for sure. What was your favorite memory or experience from the Canada Games? What, the years after the games, what's sticking out to you as kind of that favorite thing or that favorite thing you took away? And yeah, Sarah, maybe we'll start with you for this one.
Yeah, this was our like looking back, there's a lot of really cool memories from the games. Um, I think the whole experience of the opening ceremonies was something I'll never forget. Because we got to meet all together, like everyone who was on Team Nova Scotia. So not just your team, hundreds of athletes, all from Nova Scotia, and we were like chanting. We had like some crazy chants going, and like walking down the street all together into this huge arena. And then obviously you go in and you see all the athletes that are able to be there from all the different provinces. Justin Trudeau was there. We got to shake his hand. There was like a concert. So it was a really amazing experience. And I think for me, it was one of those moments where you're like, you kind of realize how big of an event it is, where maybe you kind of didn't know how many people would be there or like how much money they would pour into the events and all that. So I think just that moment of being like, wow, this is really cool, and just taking that all in, something I'll never forget.
Awesome. Thank you. Sid, what about for you?
Yeah, that was a huge one for me as well. And I think if I dive into like a specific memory, and I'm sure times haven't changed that much since we've been there, but you'll see Team Nova Scotia as a little bit of an underdog, going into competitions like this, and you have bigger provinces and the bigger player pools across the country. And we matched up against BC in a quarterfinal game, and they had, I remember, a bunch of national team players and national team coaches, and we were just the team from little old Nova Scotia up against the big dogs. So I think we didn't sway in our confidence at all. We knew what we had done to prepare for the last year, 2 years, which is kind of what I mentioned earlier. And we knew what we were capable of, and we ended up taking them to a penalty shootout and then winning, which kind of kickstarted our run into winning the bronze medal the first time in so many years. So I think just having that memory after we put in so much work as a team for I don't even know how many training sessions leading up to the games themselves, but seeing that hard work reflected in kind of a big underdog story was like absolutely incredible, something I'll never forget.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Sloan, Alex, anything to add from your experiences? Something that sticks out for you?
I'm sure that's one of my favorite memories is actually added a new event. When I went to Paralympic, it was mixed C2, so a female and a male in a C2 racing together, which isn't that common in our sport. But I actually got to race with my boyfriend, and we ended up winning, and we set the Canada Games record. So let's see if it gets broken this year. We never get to race together, so there's something different.
Unique opportunities coming from the games experience. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Thank you. Alex, anything that sticks out for you?
I think for me, was just the opportunity to get to see some other sports. Like, I remember getting really excited about watching gymnastics just because it was such a foreign thing that we had, it's not something I had ever seen before, and it just seemed so incredible watching it in person. So, yeah, it's just a unique opportunity to get to absorb some different sports. And for me, the memory was definitely, yeah, getting to see some stuff I had never seen before. And then I guess this feeling when I left, this is like the thing that I took away the most, but just this feeling that high performance sport was something I wanted to pursue more. I think Canada Games really cemented that for me. And, some people might be the complete opposite, and that's okay. Maybe you want to become a doctor or something instead. But yeah, for me, those were the two the two biggest things.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, kind of a couple themes in your answers there, Alex, with yeah, cementing that high performance and loving that competition, and then yeah, taking the unique opportunity to be able to go and see other sports that you might not otherwise get the chance to watch when you're so busy training for your own sport. Um we'll maybe turn it over to the audience for any questions. Thank you folks for sharing those memories with us. So let's start with online.
What types of foods or snacks did you eat to keep your energy for performing stuff? I know you kind of mentioned you don't really know what's going to be in the cafeteria, the grazing stations, at the menu. What are you guys going to? Like, what's your go-to? Like I mentioned before, I bring in many snacks that you would normally eat for competition with you. What's yours? Me personally, no, what's your go-to? So I'm gonna like some chocolate. Like fragrance or mint. Or right before you eat, so that would be a banana, maybe a sport cheese. You like that? So yeah, people more colors, I guess, right before you go do your competition. But yeah, try to pack some with you. That might be like the little Welch's or anything like that. Just to give you that certain energy that will be utilized correctly in your body.
Any other thoughts from our panelists on favorite foods before competition?
Sometimes I just eat like a little PB&J, or just something like that. It's carbs, it's good, like, and it gives you a pack. I guess you're packing all this. But yes.
Awesome. The traditional PB&J,
Yeah.
going back to the classics. Yeah. Sid, Alex, any thoughts?
I mean, I think it's just a common theme, but like, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Like, just do whatever it is that you normally do. If it works, it works. Don't like feel like you're going to this new thing and you need to try all these, you know, oh, now's the time to, I don't know, try this new supplement or oh, just do whatever you're normally doing. But make sure you'll have that available. So I think it's important to bring it with you. I always bring peanut butter and maple syrup wherever I go. I guess it's less of a big deal if you're staying in Canada, but you know, sometimes you end up in Japan or something and it's nice to have the things that you like. So yeah, bring whatever you can and stick to what you normally do.
Yeah. Keeping it truly Canadian with the maple syrup. Love it. Yeah, no, good thoughts, not changing up that nutrition routine the minute you're on the race line, or the start line.
Like how is this position here like other competitions like small? It's like how should like manage like the different job of the profession? So
Good question. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah. What do you say? Definitely like you're going against like for us, we were classing as underdogs, just like she said, and like going against teams that are gonna be just as good as you or maybe even better. And so think like just coming back to knowing that you deserve to be there and things like that, and having maybe more people in the stands than you're used to. I think that was something like there were pretty big crowds that we played the host, like we were in Winnipeg and we played Manitoba. It's like full stand. So that was something that was different. Just knowing that maybe there'll be more people there, maybe the competition will be harder, but trusting yourself and trusting like your teammates around you and kind of finding how you can calm down, maybe talk to each other during the game or whatever that may be. So I would say those two things were different.
Yeah, I think one thing that like I always come back to is that pressure is like a massive privilege. So when you look up and see a bunch of people in the stands, like they're there to watch you, and I would see kind of the fun opportunity in that. So do your thing and have fun out there and play with joy, just like you do here. Don't start to doubt yourself when you're up against bigger competition or in front of a bigger crowd. I would say lean into your abilities. You're there for a reason, and yeah, take the fun in it. I would say.
Any other thoughts, Alex or Sloan, to build off of that?
I think one thing I'll mention is that don't be worried about being nervous. I mean, everyone freaks out like you're so nervous, but every single person competing, if you care about your sport and doing well, you're gonna be nervous. So just accept it. It's gonna happen. You might not be able to eat your whole breakfast. You might throw up before you compete, but it's normal. So don't freak out about it. It's part of competing.
Good thought. Alex, anything to add as a final word on this one?
Boy, I'm not 100% sure I heard the question. Was it how different is it to your normal competitions?
Yeah, so the scale of the competition being larger, like how is this different from a smaller scale competition?
Yeah, I think they've covered it. It just feels a little more professional and like there's more eyes on you. But at the end of the day, I think anybody who plays sports kind of dreams of a day of feeling like a professional. So it's exciting. So just yeah, take a step back and enjoy it and try not to think too much about how different it is than just a normal game or practice or regular game. At the end of the day, you're doing the same thing, just more people watching.
We mentioned a couple times the opening ceremonies. And so, those are a really big deal for a lot of athletes in the games, but there's also a lot of standing around, a lot of waiting, a lot of time between when you eat and when you can eat again. How do you manage that as an athlete, knowing that you might be competing the next day? What are some different strategies if you think back on your experiences at the games that would have helped you manage the excitement and the overwhelm of opening ceremonies, the extensive time that you're going to be on your feet for, the heat, all of those factors? What could you recommend for athletes in the room and how to manage that, both at opening and even at closing, when you're just coming off a week of competitions and now you're in closing ceremonies and doing the similar waiting, similar breaks between food? What works?
So once it's closing ceremony, I can game, and then actually downpour on us, so you have to worry about being hot. But going to opening down to before you compete, something in your pocket or your crossbody bag or something. If it's hot, I would wear a hat too, sunglasses. And also at the Olympics, we have little misting bottles. No, they're nice. You can just go around and people it cools you off and don't be so hot. But definitely bring some snacks with you because we will be standing around for so long without.
Any other thoughts on the opening or closing?
Things are uncontrollable, so just make me move voice God, I would say to stiffen up, to standing there, a couple stretches in, just do the best you can, like someone said, 5 seconds. But yeah, at the end of the day, like you don't have too much control of the schedule of it all, so like just enjoy it. Make the best of what you got.
Okay. You talked a little bit about social media. Switching gears a slight bit, but something you're probably all very familiar with at this point. Dealing with the media at Canada Games. Any tips for do's or don'ts?
I would say, like, if you know you're gonna get an interview, just kind of take a few minutes to think about what you want to say and a key message that you want to have. So maybe if you just had a loss and you're really down about that, but think about maybe what key message you want to bring through. And no matter what they ask you, you can kind of flip it onto what you want to say and something you might yeah, what you feel. And so I think that's important. It's just taking a moment to think about what's important to you to get across and to the greater public.
Yeah, just echo that emotions are gonna be high. So especially like Sarah said, if you do get interviewed after a loss or something and you're frustrated or you're angry, like take a minute to calm your emotions before you do talk to an interviewer or anything like that. Because some things can come out that you don't necessarily mean, but in that moment you're still fired up that just comes out. So take a minute, collect yourself first.
I think another thing is if you don't want to be interviewed, you don't have to be interviewed. You're like, this is a horrible time for me, you can just say no to them. And you can get in later when you're done your competition, or not at all, you don't like that. Yeah.
Can always send them to me, can always have somebody else do the documents, and so that's not a problem. The other thing I think it's really important to remember when you're at the games is that you're just representing your province and your sport. So just keep that in mind in all things that you say and do, especially when talking to the media. Do that with pride and yeah, just keep that in mind in all things that you say. So
And just one thing to keep in mind as well is you're not just going to be approached by a reporter or somebody like in the media. They're not just going to do it like a microphone or their phone in your face. They'll go through your coach or your division staff as well in order to get to your coach and then in order to get to you. So your coach is going to vet them. Great. So you'll definitely have a lot of support there in that aspect. So no need to worry about that right now and think, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? But if it happens, as everything is said in the room, just take a second, collect your emotions and your thoughts, and then you'll have the time to do so as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Alex, any last thoughts on that with your media experience?
I mean, I think they covered it all. Like, I'd say don't be afraid to be yourself, but at the same time, remember that it's super permanent and that you should probably have a clear message and goal going into it. Yeah, it's not it's kind of exciting though as well, right? So it's another one of those things. I think my first handful of interviews that I did, I didn't really take a step back and realize how cool it was to be interviewed. So if you do get that opportunity, soak it in.
We'll thank our panelists this evening for being here with us and sharing your thoughts and insights. It's really valuable to be able to get your perspectives on this. So thank you for that.